Taxonomy is a branch of biology which deals with the study of characters of living organisms, nomenclature, and classification. Our living world contains thousands, hundreds of organisms. To study these organisms properly or in a specific manner, these organisms must have to group in certain groups, or these organisms must be classified. Carolus Linnaeus tried to classify the organisms in certain groups, and during this process he established the branch of taxonomy. As taxonomy was established by Carolus Linnaeus, so Carolus Linnaeus is known as the father of taxonomy. It is based on three important points. These are identification, nomenclature, and classification. This is the definition of taxonomy. First, we will go through the identification. Identification is the process through which an unknown organism can be identified. For this purpose, some characters are considered. These characters are either external character or internal character. Study of external character is known as morphological character or external morphology. Similarly, internal characters are known as the anatomical characters or anatomy. This is a picture of a very common flower, the China rose flower. When we observe this flower, few parts become clearly visible to us, and these are the red colored structures which are known as the petals. At the center of each and every flower, a long stalk is present. This is that long stalk, and this long slender structure is known as the staminal tube or staminal tube. At the tip of the staminal tube, these structures are present. These dusty structures represent the male reproductive part, that is the anther lobe, and these hairy red colored structures represent the stigma. Stigma is the tip of female reproductive unit, which is known as the gynoecium. At the basal portion of the gynoecium, or at the base of the gynoecium, ovary is present, and each and every ovary contains the reproductive units which are known as the ovule. But the ovules are not visible from the external view or in external morphology. To study the structure of the ovule, we have to dissect the flower and go through the anatomy of it. Base of the ovary, the ovules are present. So these structures are the ovules. These are the ovules. These ovules are visible only when we make a section across the ovary. That means ovules are present inside the ovary, and to study the ovary we have to go through the anatomy. So this is the anatomical character. And study of the petal, study of staminal tube, stigma, and anther lobe falls under the external character or external morphology. Similarly, another example is the frog. When we observe a frog, some structures become clearly visible, that are lateral fold. This is the lateral fold, and this lateral fold is clearly visible with our naked eyes. This is a morphological character. Similarly, the animal has bulging eyes. This is the visible character. Some spots are there which are known as the shank. These are also visible with our naked eyes. So these are the morphological character. When we dissect the animal, the body, we see different organs. The heart is there, the pancreas is there, the cloacal opening is there. So these things are visible when we go through the internal part or anatomy. This is anatomical structure. This is the first point of taxonomy, identification. And with the basis of morphological and anatomical character, the organisms are grouped in different groups. Second point of taxonomy is the nomenclature. It is a process through which an organism gives a scientific name. Scientific name is very important from biological point of view. because each and every organism has a common name which varies from region to region or state to state. For example, rice. In Assam, this plant is known as saul or dhan, and in Manipur it is known as chakhao. So there is a language barrier which is normally faced by the biologist or taxonomist. To overcome this barrier, Carolus Linnaeus proposed that each and every organism should have a common name, and that common name in case of rice is Oryza sativa. This is scientific name. Another example of multiple naming is the name of tiger. In Assam, the tiger is known as the Bagh, and in Tamil this is known as the Puli. Common name is Panthera tigris. Both in Assam and in Tamil, the Panthera tigris is applicable. So this is the benefit of the scientific name. And Carolus Linnaeus proposed that each and every organism should have a common name, and that common name is the scientific name. So there are some rules which are followed while the naming of an organism is given. These are the rules of nomenclature. Now the next point is the classification. For classification, some units are used, and these units are known as units of classification or units of taxonomy. And these units are kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. So these are the units of classification. Now, taxonomic tools. In taxonomy, some aids are there, some tools are there which are known as aid of taxonomy or taxonomic aid. The first and the most important aid is the herbarium sheet or the herbarium. Herbarium sheet is a piece of paper where plant parts are mounted mentioning detailed description of the species. The area or the storehouse where the herbarium is stored is known as the herbaria. It is very important for taxonomic studies. Next taxonomic aid is the botanical garden. Botanical garden is a place where plants belonging to different groups are planted together on the basis of some characters. A specific area contains specific plants which exhibit some common characters. Next aid of taxonomy is the zoological park. Zoological park is that man-made areas where animals are provided with environment as possible as their natural habitat. Here, different breeding projects are adopted for breeding of the rare or endangered species. Museum. Museum is another aid of taxonomy, and museum represents the local flora and fauna of an area. Here, those plants and animals are mounted or preserved which cannot be mounted on a herbarium sheet. This is an important site of taxonomic studies.